Don't bother coming for Thanksgiving, my mom snapped, so I canceled the gas, groceries, and mortgage payments they were using my card for. Hey, I'm Matt, I'm 31, and until last Thanksgiving, I didn't really buy into the whole final straw idea, the moment you just know you're done putting up with something. I always thought it was a bit over the top, but boy, was I wrong. For me, that moment came with a short voicemail and a plate of leftover stuffing. So, a little background, I've been the go-to money guy for my family since I landed my first decent job after college. I work in IT infrastructure, not exactly thrilling, but hey, it pays well. While my friends were getting their own places or saving up for a house, I was busy helping my parents tackle their credit card debt, co-signing for their mortgage refinance, and casually covering the utility bills when they started piling up. It wasn't because they asked, at least not at first, but because I wanted to help. My dad lost his job during the 2008 recession and never really got back on his feet, and my mom picked up some extra hours at a daycare. With my younger sister Ashley still in school, they were struggling, so I stepped in. But over time, things shifted. My help turned into an expectation. The thank yous disappeared, and it was just understood that I was handling everything. Heaven forbid I asked for anything in return, and worse, they started acting like I didn't even count unless I was paying for stuff. Thanksgiving was always a big family event. My mom loved hosting with all her cheesy decorations and scented candles. Every year, I'd help with the groceries, the cleaning, even the cooking. But even though I was paying, I always ended up at the far end of the table, mostly ignored while everyone talked about Ashley's latest influencer gig or my cousin Jason's real estate moves, which weren't exactly going great. They were celebrated, while I felt like just the ATM. But last November was different. Things had been tense for a while. Ashley borrowed $900 supposedly for car repairs, which she actually used for a trip to Cabo. Mom brushed it off with, "She's young, finding herself," and Dad told me to chill out. Then Jason moved in temporarily and I ended up covering his food and the extra bills from his long showers. Nobody asked, they just assumed. The real kicker came a week before Thanksgiving. I texted my mom to ask what time dinner would be and what to bring. No response. 2 days later, she finally replied, short and blunt, "We're keeping it small this year." No explanation, no invite. I texted back, confused, and she hit me with, "Don't bother coming for Thanksgiving." No punctuation, just cold. I stared at that message for ages, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. I scrolled through old messages looking for something I might have missed. But no, nothing. Just silence leading up to that dismissal. That night, I lay in bed, thinking about all those years of helping out, the vacations I skipped, the promotions I barely celebrated because I was too busy fixing their financial mess. Christmas when I gave Ashley a new phone and she gave me a World's Okayest Brother mug. My birthday spent alone because everyone else had plans. I wasn't family, I was staff. I didn't respond right away. I needed some time to think things over, not emotionally but practically. Then it hit me. They were so used to me handling the bills, they didn't even think about how dependent they'd become. And now they'd just cut me off, assuming I'd still be paying their bills while they celebrated without me. So, I sent one simple text back, "Then don't bother using my card." And then I got busy. I'd set up autopay for almost everything over time, the mortgage, utilities, grocery subscriptions, even my Amazon Prime. For them, Thanksgiving was a family gathering. For me, it was just another bill to pay. I went through every account and dashboard, and I canceled everything, every card, every payment method, every auto debit. It felt weirdly good, like taking apart a machine that had been wearing me down for years. I even took my name off the heating account, so they'd have to apply under their own credit. I didn't say anything. Didn't rub it in. Just let the silence speak for itself. On Thanksgiving morning, I made my own meal. Nothing special, just a rotisserie chicken. So there I was, sitting in my tiny apartment with a box of stuffing and some cranberry sauce straight from the can. My phone was on silent, and I was chilling out with reruns of old sitcoms while the wind howled outside. For the first time in ages, I felt totally relaxed. No stress, no insults, nobody needing me for anything. Just me, being still. Then, in the afternoon, my phone buzzed like crazy. I got a bunch of texts like, "Hey Matt, what's up with the gas? Did you forget to pay? It's freezing in here. And can't log into the mortgage site. Got declined or something?" And then there was a voicemail from my dad and a long, passive-aggressive text from my mom. Basically, she was implying that I was being petty for not fixing things because they didn't invite me over. The irony of that cracked me up, but I just ignored it. Honestly, Their cold living room was a better representation of our relationship than any awkward family dinner could ever be. Just when I thought I had some peace, a new text popped up from Ashley. She was all, "OMG, what did you do? Mom's flipping out because it's freezing." I decided not to reply. For once, I felt like I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. My silence was louder than anything I could have said. But I knew the drama was just getting started. By Friday, things were really heating up, or rather, they weren't. I woke up to a barrage of missed calls, voicemails, and even emails, something my folks hadn't done in forever. My mom's voicemail was all stressed out, talking about how the gas company said I took my name off the account and how my dad had been on the phone forever trying to fix it. She was upset because they had guests coming over and labeled it cruel. That word stuck with me. Like I physically yanked the warmth away or something. Not even a hint of apology, just the expectation that I'd make things right, like always. But not this time. Dad's voicemail was more annoyed than anything else. He just wanted me to fix the situation, saying I'd made my point. And then there was an email from the mortgage company, flagged because I'd removed my payment method. They were late on a payment, and the account was under review since the credit card had been canceled too. I read it a couple of times. Oops, 3 days late and it was already snowballing into a problem. Let me clarify, I wasn't trying to make them homeless or anything extreme like that, but I did want them to understand what it's like to rely on someone and have that fall through. I spent the rest of my Friday just doing my own thing, a little stubborn maybe, but peaceful. Made some tea, did some laundry, played some old video games, haven't touched those in ages. By Friday night, Ashley showed up at my door. I hadn't seen her in almost a month. Her version of busy meant she couldn't reply to my texts but could tag me on Instagram when she needed something. She knocked like she owned the place, more annoyed than worried. I opened the door just a crack. "Hey," I said, pretty flatly. "Hey," she snapped back. "That's it?" She was wearing a big coat and some fingerless gloves, looking like she'd just come back from a ski trip or something. She started telling me about how everyone was freaking out because the house was freezing, and they needed me to fix it. I just raised an eyebrow. "Why should I?" I asked. She was taken aback and replied, "Because you always do. Are you really going to let us all freeze over some text message?" That made me laugh. "One text message?" I said. "You mean the one where Mom basically kicked me out of the family holiday plans but still expected me to foot the bill for everything you all were going to enjoy without me?" Ashley shifted uncomfortably, trying to come up with a response. So, there I was, feeling all sorts of stressed out. I mean, Jason was going to show up, and we all know how he and I just don't get along. That's when they decided the best way to handle things was to just leave me out entirely. I couldn't help but raise my voice a bit and say, "Really? You guys made that call? You picked the easy route over showing some respect, and sure, that's your call, but remember, every choice has its fallout." She started looking a bit unsure, her tough front softening a little, and said, "It's just so unlike you, Matt. You've never done anything like this before." And then, there she goes, bringing Mom into it. But I stopped her right there, saying, "Don't even start with what Mom supposedly said unless she's ready to tell me herself. For a decade, I've been bailing you guys out. Remember when you flunked 2 semesters? Who covered your rent? Me. Or when your Instagram famous boyfriend ditched you in LA and I got you that plane ticket home? Yeah, me again. I even paid off your credit card balance to keep Dad from finding out about that shopping spree you went on after Grandma passed. And in all that time, a thank you without an ask tagged on? Not once." Things got real quiet after that. She looked down, and then back up at me, asking, "So, what's the plan? Are you just done with us forever?" I just shrugged and said, "I dunno, maybe. We'll see what you guys do next." She rolled her eyes, calling it a low blow. I just gave her a tired smile and said, "No, Ashley, this isn't low. You've never seen me low, you've only seen me go quiet." And then I closed the door. That night, I had the best sleep I'd had in ages. No dreams, no tossing and turning, just pure peace. But the next morning, things took a turn. There was an email in my inbox from some address I didn't recognize. The subject line said something like "Urgent Family Home Delinquency Notice." I opened it, and man, my stomach just dropped. It was this official letter from the mortgage company, addressed to me and Dad as co-signers. Apparently, they'd been using my info to refinance a second mortgage on the house without a word to me. They'd even forged my digital signature. And now the default notice was on me, not them. I felt like my heart was about to leap out of my chest. I read that email a couple of times, hoping it was some mix-up or maybe one of those scam emails, but nope, it was legit. Had the company's logo, all the right info, everything. I double-checked the details and, unfortunately, it all checked out. The email was real, and so was the threat. I opened the attached PDF, and there it was in black and white, a refinance agreement from 6 months ago. My name, right there next to Dad's, listed as a co-signer. Except, I'd never seen this thing before. Never gave my okay. Heck, I didn't even know they'd gone through a refinance. And they did it using my name. My hands were shaking, I honestly felt like I might throw up. This wasn't just some minor oversight or years of me being the family ATM. This was planned, sneaky. They didn't just leave me out of Thanksgiving. They'd used me, straight up exploited me. Worse yet, they knew exactly what they were doing. There's no way they could have faked my signature without jumping through some hoops. They had access to old paperwork, knew what I'd co-signed for before, and used it to drag me into debt again without a heads up. And now that I'd stopped bailing them out, everything was falling apart. That's why they were acting all frantic, not just because it was cold in the house or whatever, but because I'd unknowingly pulled the plug on their whole financial scheme. I needed help, and fast. I called up Brian, a buddy from college who does law now. I didn't spill all the details, just said it was urgent and involved some family-related financial mess. He agreed to meet that afternoon for coffee. We sat down at this cafe near his office, and I handed over my laptop. Brian gave the documents a quick once-over, and from the look on his face, I knew I wasn't overreacting. "Matt, this is serious," he said. I kind of figured, but he confirmed it wasn't just fraud. If they forged my name to snag a second mortgage, that's a big deal, potentially criminal. I could be stuck with a massive bill, depending on how deep this goes, and they could be in serious trouble if the lender decides to press charges. I leaned back in my chair, trying to keep my breathing steady, but inside, I was freaking out. "So, what do I do now?" I asked, feeling pretty lost. Brian, who was thinking it over while rubbing his chin, replied, "Well, first off, you need to file this thing called an affidavit of forgery with the mortgage company. Basically, you're telling them there's some shady stuff going on. Then, we hit up the credit bureaus and put a big red flag on your identity. You've got to snag your credit report ASAP and check what's been linked to your name. If they've messed with you once, they might have done more." Hearing all this, I just nodded like I'd been hit in the gut. And then there's the house. If legally, your name's still tied to it and they mess up on payments, guess who they come after? You. But if we can prove that some scummy forgery went down, you won't be stuck with the liability. Don't get me wrong though, this is gonna be a bumpy road, not a quick fix. I looked outside, noticing the bare trees and gusts of wind that just added to the frozen feeling of everything. Brian leaned in, getting serious. "Look," he said, "I know they're family, but you've got to switch from thinking like their kid to thinking like someone who's been wronged. This isn't just them taking advantage, it's fraud. You're not blowing this out of proportion. If anything, you're not reacting enough." That really got to me. For years, I'd been downplaying their actions, convincing myself they were just stressed or doing their best. But now I had real proof that it was way worse. I thanked Brian, promised to get on that affidavit, and stumbled back to my apartment, feeling dazed. Once home, I pulled up my credit report. And wow, it was bad. In just 2 years, 3 different credit lines were opened in my name. One for that second mortgage, one for a store card I never got that was used for a $4,000 furniture spree, and another was an $8,000 personal loan, supposedly for family debt. My jaw clenched so hard, it actually hurt. And to top it off, I noticed someone tried logging into my account just 2 days ago while I was busy canceling utilities, most likely Dad, trying to weasel back into the payment info. It failed, but they didn't even ask me, just attempted it on the sly. I sat there for what felt like forever, anger boiling through me like a slow poison. This wasn't just a letdown, it was betrayal right there in black and white, with signatures and timestamps and all. That's when I decided enough was enough. This wasn't about being petty but setting things right. I started gathering everything: screenshots, voicemails, bills, my credit report, refee documents, and made a new folder titled, calmly enough, Family Liability Case. Then I called the mortgage company, got the ball rolling on filing a fraud report, and sent all the docs to Brian. I also hit up the credit bureaus to freeze my credit. Feeling pretty bold, I went into our family group chat and typed out, effective immediately, I'm diving into a full legal review of any financial activities involving my name. Any funny business will be reported. You have until Monday to come clean, or it's out of my hands. Then, I muted that chat and just waited. And what happened next wasn't what I expected. Silence. No frantic replies or texts, not even one of Ashley's snarky emojis. That group chat, where I'd often been sidelined, was eerily quiet now that I was standing my ground. I spent Saturday wrapping up the paperwork, called up the mortgage lender, and filed the affidavit. The person on the other end, polite but surprised, said, "We don't usually see this stuff within families," and I almost laughed. Neither do I. Sunday, I caught up with Brian and we filled out official fraud reports for all those dodgy credit incidents. I signed an identity theft affidavit and gave Brian the go-ahead to act for me if things blew up. By Monday, everything was set in motion. Legal, financial, personal, all aligned. Then, the dam broke. It kicked off with an email from Mom, subject line, "Please don't do this." No hello, no sign-off, just a wall of text trying to guilt-trip me. "I didn't know you felt this way. Wish you'd said something sooner. We never meant to leave you out. Your dad's been stressed. Ashley was putting me under pressure. I thought giving you space was better. Don't remember anything about using your name. Maybe it was some mix-up. Please, let's not bring lawyers into this. We're family. Can't we just talk?" I didn't jump to respond. I couldn't. Because, 15 minutes later, my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. It was a lawyer, or more of a family buddy pretending to be their legal counsel. "Hey Matt," this guy said, trying to sound all friendly. "I'm calling for your parents. They're pretty upset and a bit confused about all this." I let him go on, then interrupted. "They committed fraud in my name. This isn't just a family dispute. It's a criminal issue." He went silent for a beat. "I'm sure there's an explanation." "Yeah?" I cut in. "Well, there's a forged refinance agreement with my name on it," I shot back. "A personal loan I never applied for. And they even tried accessing my account after I pulled out." There's no way to sugarcoat what went down. After another awkward pause, he finally spoke, sounding more careful this time. "Okay," he said, "any chance we can settle this quietly?" I shot back with, "Yeah, right. There's nothing hush-hush about messing with federal loans. Tell them to send any confessions or apologies to my lawyer because I'm done passing messages. This isn't personal, it's just about the paperwork now." He let out a sigh. "Understood." And that was pretty much it from their side, at least directly. The fallout was quick. By Thursday, the mortgage company wrapped up their initial investigation. They traced the digital signature back to my parents' place from a Saturday night about 6 months ago. Meanwhile, I had proof from my phone's GPS that I was away at a work conference in a different city. Nailed it. They declared the signature a fraud and took me off the agreement. Given the phony cosigner setup, the refee was re-evaluated, and the lender yanked their approval. Everything got frozen again, for good this time. That meant my parents had to cough up the entire remaining mortgage amount, no more breaks, no more extra time, just a notice for full repayment. With winter closing in, they were on the clock. Ashley gave it one last shot. She texted me on Saturday night, "You're really gonna let them lose the house after everything?" I stared at the message for a while, then replied, "No, I'm just letting them deal with what they've done, all of it." She didn't text back. That same weekend, my aunt, Dad's sister, called out of the blue. We hadn't spoken in almost 10 years. "Matt, I just found out about the situation. They say you went behind their backs and wrecked things," I sighed. "Did they mention the forgery? The loan in my name?" There was a pause. "No," she finally said, "then I suggest you get more details before choosing sides." She was quiet for a bit, but before hanging up, she softly said, "I'm proud of you." That hit me harder than I thought it would. I'd always believed keeping the peace meant staying quiet, letting people walk over you if it kept things smooth. But all the silence did was turn me into a target. It taught my family to think I'd always be there, needing no thanks, no boundaries, no basic respect. And when I finally said no, it wasn't for revenge. It was survival. 2 weeks passed, and I got a formal notice from the lender. The house was officially in pre-foreclosure. If my parents couldn't pay up the missed payments or figure out a new plan without me, they'd have to sell or give up the place. It would go public. It would be permanent. It would be on them. That same day, a letter arrived, no return address, but I recognized the handwriting instantly, my mom's. 4 pages of rambling, defensive, emotional words. She claimed I was overreacting, being too sensitive and dramatic, never understanding family, and that they only used my name because they thought I'd say no and didn't want to worry me. That last bit almost made me laugh. No apology, no taking responsibility, just a parting shot. "When the house is gone, I hope you're happy with what you've done." I folded the letter and filed it under family closed. That winter was the quietest one I've ever had. No fake family dinners, no forced chit-chat over mediocre turkey, no being the unsung ATM. Just me, my apartment, and finding a peace I didn't know I could have. By January, the house was listed. I saw it online, staged photos of rooms I grew up in, now stripped of any sign of our lives. The caption read, "Charming two-story home, perfect for new beginnings." I chuckled at the irony. I didn't reach out again. Didn't visit. Didn't reply to Ashley when, months later, she messaged, "I hope it was worth it." I didn't answer because it totally was. Every awkward meal, every passive-aggressive comment, every fake smile, every ignored favor was worth finally standing up for myself. Worth proving that love without respect isn't love, it's control. Walking away was the kindest thing I ever did. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real-life stories happening around you.